So welcome, Tony, and thank you for coming out early for this.
Thank you. How great was that? The Roman Empire. I love it. I love the analogy.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast about the last years of it, and I was just like, gosh, this is just like media. And so it all came together. Thank you. But I want to talk to you about LG and what you guys are doing with the television set. So you were telling me now that the TV is just sort of becoming, people are using it for more than just to watch television. So what's that all about?
Well, I mean, to use the parlance of your example, I think there is a renaissance with TV. Like we like to say, connected television is not your grandmother's TV. And by that, we mean it's not just a lean back, happens to you kind of medium. Sure, you can watch TV shows, you can watch movies, but it's so much more powerful than that. We're seeing people do things like engage with cloud fitness, cloud gaming baked straight into the television. And you don't even need a third-party console, nothing plugged into the HDMI port. It is just a launch pad for experiences. And so those experiences, whether lean back or lean forward, often now have moments for advertisers to also connect with their audiences. TV has dramatically changed as a medium, even though it visually seems kind of the same.
Right, and on those flat screen TVs, there's really no place to put a doily and a bowl of hard candy either. So, but so what are some of the things that people are using it for other than to watch streaming or linear TV?
Yeah, we mentioned some of them, but it's like these engaging moments. And then let's not forget about the ability to engage with shoppable moments, whether it's shoppable moments baked into the advertising or shoppable moments baked into the content. This larger screen on the wall of your home is now a medium via which you can learn about products, full funnel, build your brand all the way through to conversion. And that conversion can occur on the biggest screen in the wall, or it can happen on your mobile. Where we saw, I think you and I had a conversation some time ago where I declared, look, 2024, this is the year of shoppable TV. And I think in some ways that was true. And I think maybe more accurately, it was the resurgence of QR codes in advertising. But it drove a dramatic shift in how people engage with ads. People were very willing to hit the QR code, very willing to convert or at least investigate a product on their mobile. And that's changed the behavior. I think now in 2025, we're seeing some of the friction removed from that. I think shoppable moments are no longer trapped with the QR code. They're actually, and you may have seen it if you're with Amazon, watching any of the football games that they have these frictionless ways of adding to cart or adding to email. We ourselves are working on a service called WebOS Pay, WebOS being our operating system on all LG TVs, all modern LG TVs. This ability to transact on the device is changing so much about what it means to the user.
So that's fascinating. Tell me a bit more about the WebOS Pay. Like, how does that work and what's involved in it?
Yeah, it's in early innings. So its actual initial intent is to facilitate payments basically within apps that live within your television. So maybe you're paying your monthly subscription for something. Maybe it's I'm renting a streamable download, a streamable movie. But the application in the near future for advertising scenarios is that you have a wallet that lives on your television. It knows it knows your shipping address, obviously opt-in, credit card details, just making it very seamless to make a purchase. I think that we're very close to that being baked into the television. And that's a huge deal. It removes a friction point and makes it easier. So 1 or 2 click purchase, maybe it's I look at an item, I configure it, I want the blue one, send to my home, it meets me there tomorrow or the next day. I think that is where we're headed.
No, that's great because I mean, obviously, Amazon has that going on, but they can't be everywhere, and it gives people. I mean, because that was to me the real friction point was like, oh my, like, not only am I stopping to buy something, I have to enter my address and my credit card and all that. So if it's stored on the TV, that just seems to eliminate a ton of friction.
Absolutely, and then it is, and one word that I didn't really expect to come back this can line that I've heard a lot is attention. And I think when you're fragmenting your attention across devices, there are marketers that prefer not to do that. I actually think there's some advantage to it, but when you are engaging in this frictionless funnel from discovery to purchase, your attention quickly goes back to the content. Your attention quickly goes back to other marketing moments, and you're not sidetracked for prolonged periods of time, as can happen if you're going to the other device.
Right. And there's so many cool things going on in Shoppable. Like there's technology now that can, spot something on the TV And if it's expensive, it can find like, lower priced alternatives for you so that you don't have to buy, the $2,500 chair. Like here's one for $50. And which I think we're just going to see so much more of that.
I've had a few conversations lately with some tech partners, and there are things like shop the scene. So pause a moment. AI can scour the items that are in a scene, whether on a person with clothes or that chopping block in a cooking show, and be able to find either the exact item or something very comparable. And shopping the scene of a TV show, being able to say, I like that shirt, and just find that one or a similar one. I think we're very close to that moment. And so this is what I mean. It is at the moment about the QR codes and about the ads, but I think it's porting into the content as well.
Great. Now you guys are doing stuff with gaming too, right? Is that seems to be a big push?
We've had a few announcements lately. So there was one with Xbox Live, NVIDIA's GeForce Now. The basic upshot is you can now access literally thousands of games on your LG TV without a console. These high quality games, streaming it. Some of them you can actually just play with the remote. We have a magic remote that you wave through the air. But
wait. Let's dig into that. The magic remote that you wave. How does that work?
So the LG Magic Remote, actually, it's kind of cool for advertisers as well. The LG Magic Remote, for any of you who don't have an LG TV, has like a cursor-like experience where you wave your remote to what you want to click, as opposed to a four-way trackpad, right?
Okay, yeah.
For ads that you engage with, it can be very limiting with a four-way trackpad. So maybe it's an ad for that Hollywood blockbuster movie. Maybe there's several actors in there. Being able to like scroll through slivers of an actor, learn a little bit more, it just gives you some granularity that didn't exist. But with regard to the gaming, so for example, you can play Pac-Man waving your remote control through the air, just baked into your television. You don't need to pay for anything. You don't need to download anything. And on that gaming hub, there is an advertising opportunity. So it is a similar model to what we see with Fast, free ad-supported streaming television, where it's ad-supported gaming.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. It just seems to offer a whole lot of opportunity. Now, with the going back to the shoppable, are there certain categories that seem sort of more prone to that, where they're running? I'm talking about people who are running ads where there's a shoppable option in it versus sort of the shop the scene option.
Yeah, you see a little bit. So retail, clothing in particular, you see CPG, even auto. Auto obviously isn't necessarily come by the car now. It's a long purchase cycle category. But book a test drive. Here's your local dealership. And we were having a separate conversation on this. It was not that long ago, particularly within the auto category, where at the brand level, you're just fueling the top of the funnel. So if you're Ford, you're announcing to the world the new Ford Bronco exists. But you're not saying, come to your local dealership, here's the address. Within connected environments, you can now have that brand building announcing that new vehicle and geolocate a person via their IP address and say, this is your local dealership. This is how you can go and book a test drive or come and configure a model. And so what we're seeing is these categories are engaging, and I think they're doing so because it is a full funnel medium, what I like to call performance storytelling, meaning you build the brand, but you have the ability to convert as well.
Right, because that was always seems to be always the thing that was missing with TV was this, other than the very obvious direct mail, buy from the Franklin Mint coin, there was no sort of fulfillment model on it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a non-obvious example, but we saw a little bit of this with political advertising over the last year, where traditionally at the party level, they're very broad-based messages. They're not really targeted for geolocations. But with connected TV, the ability to isolate certain zip codes around electoral boundaries and even isolate, look, is this a red household? Is this a blue household? To tailor the message to what they care about and be able to do so at the party level rather than just at a local candidate level. And we saw a lot of political dollars pile into CTV. Arguably, the party that leaned into that more did better. Obviously, correlation is not causation, but it is changing the game, and it is a non-obvious example that I think is very applicable to retail scenarios.
No, that's very cool. So what other things do you guys have going on? What other use cases are you seeing for the TV beyond sort of shopping, gaming?
I think right now there's also an explosion on the creative side. And what we're talking about with a lot of our clients is the art and the science of CTV.
Yeah.
And I think it's the art's time to shine. We're so focused on the science in this industry, I find, and particularly here at the Cannes Lions, it's the Festival of Creativity. I think some of these new creative units are really compelling. There's been a lot of coverage around these pause ads. I think marketers like them because in that moment in time, it's 100% share of voice on the screen. It's a big, beautiful opportunity to see and engage with a brand. I think other interesting things are the ability to take a linear ad, a 30-second TV spot, and add advanced functionality to it. Do a squeeze back, put an L around it, whether this is here's your local store or whether it's tailoring the ad for the conditions. Hey, we're a clothing retailer, it's raining, here's some rainy gear, or it's sunny, here's some cool gear. And so we're seeing those type of the art of the canvas starting to evolve quite a lot right now.
Yeah, no, that I have been seeing that too, because you really have, especially through AI, you're able to sort of roll out a whole bunch of iterations of the same ad, where it has different endings, different, tailor it to different households, and just really understand who that consumer is at the end. But to your point, like sort of using the data that we have to actually inform the creative without, and I guess the danger on that is that it strangles it. In other words, you don't want it to be so closely tied that it's sort of not creative anymore. But at the same time, you do want it to be, have some relevance to sort of what the learnings are.
There's a strong perspective out there that AI can't be creative. I don't hold, actually, I got into a debate with our mutual friend, Evan Shapiro.
Yes.
He was like, look, AI never sort of cried in its bedroom about what its mother did during the teenage years.
I have heard that line myself. I have heard that very line myself.
But I think the ability to generate a vast number of creatives, test them, see which ones work, dial up those ones, see which ones resonate, and then dial down the ones that don't. I think also the ability to target, the ability to use AI to create segments of people that are logical for a given creative. This is why it's both the art and the science of connected TV, marrying those things so that you've got a beautiful, relevant creative for exactly the right audience. And I think no one can say we've nailed it right now, but that's the path we're on.
Yeah, no, it's true. And those of you who know me, I spent the first 15 years of my career as an advertising creative, as a copywriter, creative director at a bunch of Ogilvy, JWT, BBDO. And one of the things the industry needs to be very, very careful with is a lot of times stuff that like knocks it out of the park creatively does not test well. People don't, because it's new, right? So people don't know what to make of it. And like, oh, I don't know about that. And then it winds up going off the charts. It's funny, the example everyone always uses is a TV show from the 70s called All in the Family, which wound up being one of the biggest hits of all television history. And it tested terribly at first. And it was only because CBS sort of believed in it and said, okay, we'll put this out. And it had terrible ratings the first couple of weeks. And then it just caught on because it was a very, very different type of show, very different, timbre to it. And that's the problem. That's the thing with ad creative, that if you have to sort of trust your gut as much as the data a lot. And I think that's something that can get lost in our embrace of data.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Steve Jobs perspective, right? How can I market test an iPhone when people don't know what it is? And I agree.
Yes, 100%. And on that note, we will thank you very much, because we are out of time here. And I'm going to bring up our next speaker,
Thank you.
Jeremy Bloom.